My $320,000 salary almost bankrupted me. And the crazy part? I felt richer when I was making $65,000. If that sounds impossible, stay with me, because understanding this paradox is worth millions over your lifetime. I'm about to show you the invisible wealth killer that targets high earners specifically, and why your next raise might be the worst thing that happens to your net worth. Let me take you back to March 2021. I'm sitting in my boss's office. Corner view of downtown Austin. He slides a letter across his mahogany desk. Senior director position. Base salary, $320,000. Stock options worth another $180,000 over 4 years. I'd quintupled my income in 6 years. I walked out of that office feeling like I'd won the game. That night, my wife and I celebrated at a steakhouse that cost more than my first car. We ordered the $240 Wagyu. Because we could. Because we'd made it. 18 months later, I'm sitting at my kitchen table at 2 a.m., staring at my bank account. Despite earning more money than 97% of American households, I had $8,400 in my checking account. My credit card balances had somehow climbed to $43,000. My investment account? Basically unchanged from 2 years earlier. I'd fallen into what I now call the reverse income trap. And here's what makes it so dangerous. It specifically targets people who are doing well. The broke version of me at $65,000 was actually building wealth faster than the supposedly successful version making 5 times more. Let me break down the math that nobody talks about. When I was making $65,000, my lifestyle cost about $48,000 a year. After taxes, I had roughly $52,000 to work with. That left me $4,000 a year to invest. Not much, but it was something. I was saving 6% of my gross income. Here's what happened when I jumped to $320,000. My take-home after taxes in Texas was about $228,000. Sounds incredible, right? But watch what happened to my lifestyle. We moved from our $1,800 apartment to a $4,200 house because, quote, it made sense for our income level. That's $28,800 more per year just in housing. We upgraded both cars. I convinced myself that a $72,000 Tesla was actually a smart financial move because of gas savings. My wife got a Range Rover for $68,000 because it was safer for our daughter. Our car payments went from $0 to $2,400 monthly. Another $28,800 annually. We started traveling like we'd seen on Instagram. Tulum in February, Italy in June, Jackson Hole for Christmas. These weren't $2,000 vacations anymore. These were $12,000 to $18,000 trips. We took 3 that year. Call it $42,000. Dining out transformed completely. We went from $40 dates at Chipotle to $200 dinners at farm-to-table spots. 3 times a week. That's $31,200 annually versus maybe $6,000 before. An extra $25,000. Clothes, gadgets, furniture, wine, subscription services we never used, the premium gym, the house cleaner, the lawn service, the grocery budget that tripled because we bought organic everything. I'm not even counting the $15,000 we spent on landscaping or the $8,000 kitchen renovation. Here's the brutal math. My lifestyle had inflated to roughly $186,000 per year. I was left with about $42,000 after all expenses. Sounds good, except I was now saving only 13% of my gross income. In absolute dollars, yes, I was saving more. But here's the trap. I'd increased my income by 392%, but my savings rate had barely doubled. And here's the really insidious part. At $65,000, every purchase was a conscious decision. Every $100 mattered. I had natural friction against waste. But at $320,000, I developed what psychologists call decision fatigue immunity. The $140 dinner didn't register. The $80 shirt was background noise. The $2,400 monthly car payments became invisible. I'd become what the wealth research calls income rich and asset poor. I looked successful. I felt successful. My Instagram showed success. But my balance sheet told a different story. I was running on a treadmill set to 392% speed, and I wasn't getting anywhere faster. The wake-up call came from an unlikely source. My Uber driver. I know how that sounds. But this guy, Marcus, was 61 years old, drove a paid-off Camry, and was Ubering to stay active in retirement. He mentioned he was heading to his vacation home in Sedona the next week. I made some comment about still working toward that dream. He said something I'll never forget. "Brother, I retired at 54 on a postal worker's salary. Never made more than $68,000 in my life. The secret isn't earning more. It's keeping the gap wide." That phrase, keep the gap wide, the gap between what you earn and what you spend. I realized I'd let my gap collapse. I'd gone from a $17,000 gap on $65,000 to a $42,000 gap on $320,000. In percentage terms, I'd actually gotten worse at wealth building. I went home that night and did something uncomfortable. I calculated my lifestyle inflation cost. Not in dollars, in years. If I'd kept my lifestyle at $75,000 and invested the difference at 8% returns, I would have accumulated $847,000 in additional wealth over those 6 years. Instead, I had $43,000 in credit card debt and maybe $180,000 total invested. That $847,000 gap? That represented roughly 8 years of financial freedom I'd traded for a bigger house and fancier cars. 8 years of my life exchanged for lifestyle creep. So here's what I did. And fair warning, this is going to sound extreme, but it worked. First, I calculated my freedom number. That's the amount of invested assets I'd need to never work again. For us, that was $2.8 million at a 4% withdrawal rate, generating $112,000 annually. Then I worked backward. At my current savings rate of $42,000 per year, it would take me 31 more years to reach financial independence. I'd be 67 years old. I'd have worked for 45 years to retire at the age most people retire anyway. My high income was a mirage. But if I could save $180,000 per year, that number dropped to 11 years. I could be financially free at 47. That's a 20-year difference. That's my entire daughter's childhood. That's my health, my energy, my life. So I made a radical decision. I was going to live like I made $95,000. Not $65,000, because lifestyle deflation needed to be sustainable. But $95,000 gave us a comfortable life while creating a $133,000 annual gap after taxes. Here's what that looked like practically. We moved. Yes, we just bought the house. Yes, we lost about $18,000 in transaction costs. We moved to a great $2,400 rental. Saved $21,600 annually, plus property taxes, plus maintenance, plus the psychological weight of ownership. We sold both cars. Bought 2 reliable used vehicles cash for a combined $38,000. No payments. No depreciation bleeding. No $1,400 monthly drain. The Tesla lost $22,000 in value the moment I drove it off the lot anyway. Vacations became strategic. 1 big trip per year, $6,000 budget. We started doing weekend road trips instead of flying to Tulum. Turns out Big Bend National Park is incredible and costs $380 for a long weekend instead of $15,000. Dining out got cut to once a week, $80 budget. We started cooking together Sunday nights. Became our favorite ritual. Grocery bill dropped by $340 monthly just by stopping the organic everything nonsense and meal planning. The gym, the cleaners, the lawn service, the subscriptions. All gone. I started running outside. We cleaned our own house. It took 3 hours on Saturday. We listened to podcasts. It was fine. Actually better than fine. Within 3 months, we'd eliminated $43,000 in credit card debt. Within 8 months, we were investing $11,200 per month like clockwork. $134,400 per year. Every single month, we were buying 8 years of future freedom. That's how I started thinking about it. 2 years later, our invested assets had grown to $512,000. We were 18% of the way to permanent financial freedom. At our old trajectory, we'd have been at maybe $240,000. That $272,000 difference represents 2.4 years of financial independence. Now let me give you the framework. Because the reverse income trap is everywhere. It's your colleague who got promoted and immediately bought a $95,000 Porsche. It's your friend who got a raise and upgraded to a luxury apartment. It's the doctor making $400,000 who has less invested than the teacher making $52,000. Here are the 5 principles that changed everything for me. Principle 1. Calculate your freedom number first, then your lifestyle second. Most people do this backward. They let lifestyle expand to meet income, then save whatever's left. That's financially insane. Figure out how much you need invested to be free, then work backward to determine your required savings rate, then design your lifestyle around what's left. Not the other way around. Principle 2. Keep the gap wide. This is Marcus's wisdom. Every time your income increases, save at least 70% of the increase. If you get a $30,000 raise, your lifestyle can increase by $9,000. The other $21,000 gets invested immediately. This is the only way to prevent lifestyle inflation from stealing your raises. Principle 3. Audit for invisible bleeding. High earners' death by 1,000 cuts. It's not the house. It's the $180 monthly wine subscription, the $95 premium parking, the $340 grocery overspend, the $120 cell phone plan, the $240 in unused subscriptions, the $400 in convenience purchases. These invisible $50 to $200 expenses add up to $24,000 to $48,000 annually. Find them, kill them. Principle 4. Eliminate debt with prejudice. High earners love to rationalize debt. Good debt, bad debt, leverage. Meanwhile, you're paying $2,400 monthly on car loans at 6% while your investment accounts grow at 8%. That's a 2% spread on $140,000 of debt. You're netting $2,800 annually while hemorrhaging $28,800 in payments. Pay off everything except your mortgage, and only keep the mortgage if the rate is below 4%. Principle 5. Live in public like you're broke. This is the hardest one. Because at $320,000, you're surrounded by people spending like they make $320,000. Your neighbors have Teslas. Your colleagues vacation in Europe. Social pressure is enormous. But here's the truth. Most of them are broke. They're running the same treadmill you were on. The richest people I know now drive 8-year-old Hondas and live in normal houses. They just don't advertise it. Here's what nobody tells you about high income. It's not a blessing unless you treat it like one. It's actually a test of whether you can delay gratification when nobody's forcing you to. Whether you can live below your means when society is screaming at you to live above them. The reverse income trap is specifically designed to catch successful people. Because successful people are ambitious. We want the markers of success. The car, the house, the vacations, the restaurants. We've been conditioned to believe these things are the reward for hard work. But the real reward? It's freedom. It's walking away at 47 instead of 67. It's saying no to projects you hate. It's taking a year off to travel. It's starting the business you always wanted. It's coaching your kids' soccer team on Tuesday afternoons. That's the reward. The Range Rover is the consolation prize. I'm 38 now. My wife and I have $891,000 invested. We're 32% of the way to complete financial freedom. At our current rate, we'll hit our number at 46. That's 21 years earlier than my original trajectory. 21 years I bought back by closing the reverse income trap. And here's the beautiful irony. I'm happier now than I was in the big house with the Tesla. Because I'm not stressed. I'm not wondering where the money went. I'm not keeping up with anyone. I'm watching my freedom number grow by $11,000 every single month. I'm watching years of my life buying themselves back. So if you're making good money but feeling broke, if your income keeps rising but your net worth isn't, if you look successful but feel trapped, you're not broken. You're not bad with money. You're just caught in the reverse income trap. The way out isn't complicated. Calculate your freedom number. Design your savings rate to hit it in 10 to 15 years. Build your lifestyle around what's left. Keep the gap wide. Ignore everyone else. Because here's the truth that took me 18 months and $847,000 in lost potential to learn. Your income is a tool, not a trophy. And the only thing it's supposed to buy is your freedom.